Does this sound familiar? You've been flirting all evening, laughing. Everything was going perfectly. And then, at the crucial moment, just when you're ready to make your move, you're met with a polite but firm no, or the classic, "Sorry, I'm just too tired tonight." And there you are, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking yourself the same question over and over. What did I do wrong? But the next day, when you do absolutely nothing special, she's the one who initiates. Why did she turn you down yesterday, but wants you today? The answer 99% of men search for is a grand self-deception. You think it's about the right words, expensive gifts, or having perfect abs. You try to seduce her at the last minute, like it's a 100-meter dash, but you're losing the race before it even starts. Because real foreplay doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts hours, sometimes even days, before. This isn't a sprint. It's a chess match where every move creates a specific psychological state in her mind. Even Freud and Jung understood this. The most powerful desires aren't born from logic, but from the subconscious. They come from her shadow self, from the depths of her psyche that compliments can't reach. Today, we're not talking about techniques. We're talking about keys. 5 psychological triggers that unlock her subconscious. You will learn how to intentionally flip the switch in her mind. And her YES will stop being a coincidence. It will become the predictable result of your right actions. But I have to warn you, if you only watch halfway through, you'll only get half the truth. I'm saving the most important key for the end. So before we begin, please go ahead and hit the like button for this video. And if you're new here and ready to go all the way for real knowledge, subscribe right now. And before we kick off, I'm curious to see where everyone is tuning in from. Please write your city in the comments. I'd love to see our geography. Part 1, the foundation of attraction. Safety and curiosity. The first and most important law that men constantly break is this. Female attraction is physically impossible in a state of anxiety. Her body cannot switch into arousal mode as long as her brain, her most ancient reptilian part, is sending out danger signals. And I'm not talking about a mugger in a dark alley. I'm talking about the psychological pressure you create without even realizing it. You can be the most handsome and successful man. But if being with you makes her feel like she's walking on eggshells, if she's expecting an outburst of anger, passive aggression, or just emotional instability, her body will automatically shut down. This is pure biochemistry. The stress hormone cortisol is a direct antagonist to the hormones of intimacy and pleasure like oxytocin. As long as cortisol is raging through her blood, there can be no attraction. Period. This is why your greatest aphrodisiac is your calmness, your reliability, your predictability in the best sense of the word. When you don't fly off the handle over small things, when you solve problems instead of creating them, when your emotional state is a calm harbor, not a roller coaster, you send the most powerful signal to her subconscious. It's safe here. And only after receiving that signal does her body get permission to relax. And relaxation is the gateway to arousal, but safety is only half of the foundation. The other half is emotional intimacy. And this is where men make the second fatal mistake. We think women are turned on by touch, beautiful places, and expensive things. All of that works, but only as an amplifier. The true catalyst for her desire is the feeling of being seen, heard, and understood. The feeling that she's with a close partner, not just a male. A heart-to-heart conversation where you don't try to fix her or give advice, but simply listen. A moment when you share not your achievements, but your vulnerability, your doubts, or even your fears. This is the real emotional foreplay. Why does it work so well? Because by opening up your inner world, you are inviting her into a space of absolute trust. You're showing her that you trust her with your most private self. This creates a bond so powerful that no technique can replicate it. For the female psyche, this is a signal. He doesn't just want my body. He wants my soul. He sees me as a person. And when she feels that depth, her desire to possess you, to be one with you physically, multiplies tenfold. Remember, a conversation where she felt truly understood can arouse her more than an hour of the most. Elaborate physical foreplay. Part 2. The Art of Power. How to dominate without ing. And now, we move on to the most provocative and misunderstood masculine quality, dominance. When most people hear that word, they picture an aggressive tyrant banging his fist on the table. This is a huge mistake that leads to fear, not attraction. True, arousing dominance has nothing to do with aggression. It is confident leadership. Imagine this scenario. You're trying to decide where to go for dinner. You ask, "Where do you want to go?" She replies, "I don't know, you decide." You suggest, "How about that Italian place?" She says, "I'm not really in the mood for that." You try again, "What about Japanese?" She says, "Oh, it's probably too crowded tonight." At this moment, you are losing her attraction with every passing second. Why? Because you're shifting the responsibility of making a decision onto her. You are demonstrating indecisiveness. And a woman's subconscious instinctively looks for a leader in a man, someone who is capable of taking charge. Your decisiveness in small, everyday matters is a direct projection of your strength in her eyes. When you stop asking, "Where should we go?" and instead say, "Tonight, we're going to that new Georgian restaurant. I've booked a table for 8. You lift the burden of choice from her shoulders and give her the chance to relax and follow your lead. It is precisely this state of mind, "I can trust him, he's got it handled," that flows seamlessly into the bedroom. A woman wants to submit, but she will only submit to someone who has proven his right to lead. Not with words, but with actions. And here we arrive at Carl Jung's brilliant concept, the king archetype. The female subconscious is not searching for a tyrant who asserts himself at her expense. It is searching for a king, a wise, calm, and just ruler of his world. A king doesn't shout. A king doesn't need to prove himself. He simply knows what he wants and calmly makes it happen. His power is based on authority, not fear. When you decide where to go on vacation, when you calmly handle a conflict with the plumber, when you confidently lead her by the hand through a crowd, you activate this ancient archetype in her mind. She sees you not just as a boyfriend, but as a powerful figure worth following. And this desire to follow you in life inevitably gives birth to the desire to surrender to you in bed. But leadership isn't just about saying yes to your own decisions. It's also about being able to calmly and firmly say no to her whims. This is called holding frame. Your frame is your principles, your boundaries, your vision. And when you defend that frame without fearing her reaction, you command colossal respect. For example, she wants to go to a party, but you both agreed to spend the evening together because you're tired. A weak man will cave, fearing conflict. A strong man will say, "Honey, I know you want to go, but we agreed to rest. We can hit a party next weekend, but tonight is for us." No anger, no yelling. Just quiet confidence in your position. In that moment, something clicks in her mind. She realizes she can't manipulate you, that you have a steel spine. It might irritate her for a minute, but on a deep level, it creates a profound sense of security and respect. She understands that if you stand your ground so firmly in small things, she can absolutely count on you in a serious situation. The strength of your frame sends a non-verbal message. I respect myself, which means I can protect you. And it's for a man she truly respects that a woman loses her mind. It is this level of depth. Analyzing archetypes and subconscious programming, that you will find in every one of my videos. If this is the approach you've been looking for, now is the perfect time to subscribe. Part 3. Play and Intrigue. How to keep her from getting BO-read so? You've built a foundation of safety and demonstrated your leadership. It seems like that should be enough, right? But here lies the third trap that even the most reliable and confident men fall into. This trap is called routine. Predictability is the ultimate passion killer. The human brain, especially a woman's, is wired to respond to novelty. New experiences trigger a release of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of pleasure and anticipation. When every evening follows the same script dinner, TV show, sleep, her brain stops producing dopamine in response to your interactions. You become as familiar to her as an old couch. Comfortable, reliable, but completely unexciting. The attraction fades not because you've become a worse person, but because you've become too predictable. The intrigue is gone, the game is over, and this is where the fourth trigger comes into play in predictability. It's crucial to understand. This isn't about going skydiving every day. It's about small but regular breaks in the pattern. Instead of the usual home-cooked meal, spontaneously order her favorite pizza. Instead of watching a series, suggest a walk in the rain. Instead of the standard, "Hey, how are you?" text, send her a funny meme or a message that just says, "Thinking of you." On your way home, don't buy a bouquet of roses. Buy that specific yogurt she mentioned a week ago. This shows not only your spontaneity, but also that you pay attention. These small surprises create what are known as dopamine swings in her mind. She never quite knows what to expect from you next. You stop being a book she's already read and become an exciting novel she can't put down. She starts thinking about you during the day, anticipating what you might do next. This anticipation is the fuel for passion. You're creating emotional spikes that prevent your relationship from gathering the dust of domestic life. And when you find yourselves together in the evening, that accumulated emotional charge will inevitably find its release in physical intimacy. Finally, the fifth and most subtle trigger, the right kind of humor and lightheartedness. Many men think that to be seductive, they need to be intensely serious, brooding, and mysterious. But constant seriousness creates tension. And as we know, tension is the enemy of attraction. The ability to laugh at a situation, and more importantly, at yourself, is a sign of immense inner strength. It shows that your self-esteem isn't dependent on external circumstances, that you're not fragile, and a minor setback won't break you. Imagine you're cooking a romantic dinner and you burn the steak. One reaction is to get angry, upset, and start blaming yourself or the stove. This creates an awkward, tense atmosphere. Another reaction is to look at the charcoal, laugh, and say, "Well, it looks like we're eating out tonight. At least we have a great excuse to get dressed up." In that moment, you turn a failure into an adventure. You diffuse the tension and show her that being with you is fun and easy, even when things don't go according to plan. A woman is subconsciously drawn to a man who is a source of positive emotions. Your humor, your easygoing nature, your ability to not make a big deal out of small things, this is a powerful magnet. It tells her, with him, I can be myself, I can relax. I don't have to be afraid of his reaction. This lightness in your interactions creates an atmosphere of play and flirtation, which is the natural prelude to intimacy. A man she can have a good laugh with will always be more desirable than the most perfect, but dull and serious. Man, Part 4. Synthesis and APPLICATIO. And now, let's assemble all 5 elements into a single system. It's crucial to understand that these aren't separate tricks to be used one at a time. They are facets of a man who evokes not just liking in a woman, but a deep, almost primal attraction. It's a unified mechanism where each part strengthens the others. Look at how it works. Safety and trust are the foundation, the soil in which anything can grow. Without it, everything else is meaningless. Confident leadership and a strong frame are the trunk and branches. They give you form and strength, something she can hold on to and rely on. This commands respect. And unpredictability and light humor are the leaves and flowers. They are what make you vibrant, interesting, and appealing. They create play and dynamism. A man who only provides safety but has no backbone is seen as a nice guy, a friend, but not as a sexual partner. A man who tries to be a leader but is emotionally unstable is seen as a dangerous tyrant to be avoided. A man who is constantly joking and planning surprises, but is incapable of making a single serious decision, comes across as an immature clown. See? The system only works when it's all together. Safety without strength is the friend zone. Strength without safety is fear. Play without strength and safety is childishness. Now let's see how this works in practice. Let's break down a hypothetical perfect day that is almost guaranteed to lead to a perfect night. This isn't a movie script. It's just a demonstration of how these triggers work in real life. Saturday morning. You wake up, and instead of the standard, "What should we do?" you say, "Get ready. We're leaving in an hour." I have an idea. Trigger number 3, leadership. You've taken responsibility for planning the day. You don't reveal all your cards, maintaining the intrigue. You drive out of town to a new place she's never been. Trigger number 4, unpredictability. On the way, you hit a small snag, like getting a little lost. Instead of getting stressed and blaming the GPS, you laugh and say, "Great, now we get to see places where no man has gone before." Trigger number 5, humor and lightness. You've turned a problem into an adventure. You calmly open a map and quickly find the way. Trigger number 1, safety. You've shown you're in control and can solve problems. In the afternoon, during a walk, she starts talking about a problem at work. You don't interrupt or offer advice. You just listen intently, ask clarifying questions, and show her that her feelings matter to you. At the end, you simply hug her and say, "I get how tired you are. You're strong, you'll handle it." Trigger number 2, emotional intimacy. She felt understood and accepted. In the evening, you return home. You don't immediately start making advances. You see she's a bit tired and say, "You relax, I'll order us some dinner." You're not thinking about a single thing tonight. Again, leadership and safety. And as you're sitting there eating dinner, she looks at you with completely different eyes. Over the course of the day, without a single compliment about her appearance, you showed her everything her subconscious needed to see. You were a leader. You were a rock. You were a source of new experiences and lightness. You created a deep emotional connection. This day-long foreplay has built such a powerful psychological state of trust, respect, and arousal in her that her yes is no longer just consent. It becomes her own passionate, impatient desire. Conclusion: seducing her and so. What's the bottom line? We're looking at a fundamental paradigm shift. Stop seducing her body. Start seducing her brain. That is the main takeaway you should have today. Her brain, her limbic system, that's where the control center of her desires truly lies. Most men try to hack this system with brute force. They pressure, persuade, and shower with gifts. That's like trying to open a bank vault with a sledgehammer. It's loud, foolish, and completely ineffective. The 5 triggers we've discussed are not a sledgehammer. They are the combination to the safe. Safety, intimacy, leadership, unpredictability, and lightness. These are the 5 digits of the code that, when entered correctly and in the right sequence, unlock her trust and her attraction without the slightest resistance. You cease to be a supplicant begging for intimacy. You become an architect who designs a reality where that intimacy is the natural and desired outcome for her. This is exactly what the founding fathers of psychology told us. Freud revealed the iceberg of the unconscious, showing that our true motives are hidden deep beneath the surface. Jung went further and described the archetypes, the universal images and scripts hardwired into our collective psyche. By activating the king archetype within yourself, a strong but just leader, you begin to speak a language her subconscious understands without translation. You bypass her conscious filters, her tiredness and headaches, and appeal directly to her ancient instincts. And that is the difference between a man who gets sex and a man who is desired. YE is born out of politeness or concession is hollow. It brings neither joy nor true intimacy. But a YES, born from her own desire that you awakened. A yes, she says with her eyes before she even opens her mouth. That is the ultimate reward. It is a sign that you did everything right. You didn't force her. You created the conditions where she couldn't help but want you. And in that lies your true power and your greatest victory. Today, we broke down the 5 keys to a woman's yes. But it's just as important to know what guarantees her nitrogen monoxide. In the next video, we'll break down the 3 masculine mistakes that kill attraction instantly. To make sure you don't miss this critically important analysis, ensure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. And now for the main question for you. Which of the 5 triggers we talked about today do you think is the most underrated and powerful in your relationships? Share your opinion in the comments. Let's build our collective wisdom.